In the heart of the powerful Asante kingdom, there reigned an arrogant king named Mjaro, feared as much as he was admired. His empire stretched far and wide, his places gleaming with gold, and his power unmatched. His throne was heavy with jewels, but even more so with pride. King Mjaro had everything, or so it seemed. 10 wives, each more beautiful than the last. Endless riches and a kingdom that bowed to this every whim. But it wasn't enough. One fateful day, a rumor reached the king's ears about a girl named Nakato, the daughter of a simple fisherman. She was only 12 years old, but her beauty was said to be unmatched, her spirit unbroken and free, unlike anything the king had ever seen in his court of submission. Her laughter danced through the streets of the village like the wind, and her eyes held a fire that even the stars envied. The king's heart was consumed with a desire unlike any he had ever felt. He had to have Nakato. He sent messengers to her father with gifts of gold and jewels, promising him riches beyond imagination if he agreed to give his daughter hand in marriage. The fisherman, a humble and honest man, refused. His daughter was too young, and even if she wasn't, he would not give her to a man who collected wives like treasures. Infuriated, King Mjaro summoned Nakato herself to his grand palace as she stood before him, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity. The king offered her wealth, power, and the privilege of being his 11th wife. But Nakato, bold and unafraid, declined. I will not marry you, king, she said. You may have everything, but you do not have my heart. Her words struck the king like a dagger. His fury knew no bounds. Accustomed to having everything he desired, he saw Nakato's refusal as a grave insult to his power. He sent guards to capture her, thinking that by forcing her into submission, she would eventually bend to his will. But Nakato's resolve was as strong as her spirit. She fought, defied, and continued to resist his advances, even as the king's cruelty escalated. Driven mad with lust and anger, King Mjaro decided to take extreme measures. He had the fisherman, Nakato's father, thrown into the dungeon. He even went so far as to kill anyone in the village who spoke against him. Their lives snuffed out like candle in the wind. Yet, despite all his tyranny, Nakato remained unyielding. She would rather die than become the wife of the king. In his final attempt to break her will, the king ordered that Nakato be executed. If she will not marry me, he declared, then let her death be an example of what happens to those who defy me. The kingdom watched in horror as Nakato was dragged to the executioner's block. But just as the blade was about to fall, a terrible storm erupted, shaking the earth and tearing the sky apart. Lightning cracked like the rod of the gods, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Before the blade could descend, Nakato's body shimmered and disappeared in a flash of light. It was then that the villagers, elders, and even the king himself realized that something far more powerful than the king's arrogance had been unleashed. A curse. The land grew barren, crops withered, rivers dried up, and no rain fell. The once thriving kingdom was plagued in famine and despair. A thick, unnatural fog settled over the region, and nothing could lift it. The villagers whispered of Nakato's spirits, saying she had become a force of vengeance, protecting the innocent and punishing the cruel. Desperate, King Mjaro consulted seers, sorcerers, and wise men from every corner of the kingdom. Each told him the same thing: you must atone for the blood you spilled and the lives you shattered. Only then will the curse be lifted. The solution, however, was not an easy one. King Mjaro had to relinquish his throne and walk among his people as one of them. He had to live as a common man, stripped of his power, his wealth, and his pride. He would have to serve those he had wronged, particularly the families of those he had killed, until his heart was humble and pure. But that was not all. He was to travel to the deepest part of the enchanted forest, where the spirit of Nakato was said to dwell. There he would have to risk for her forgiveness, not as a king, but as a broken man seeking redemption. Only by her grace could the curse be undone. At first, King Mujaro refused. How could a king so mighty bow before a mere child, even in death? But as the famine worsened and his people began to die, he realized he had no choice. His palace, once full of splendor, now echoed with emptiness. His wives, fearing the curse, had fled. The kingdom that had once bowed before him now turned their backs in silent rebellion. So, with a heavy heart, King Mjaro donned the robes of a common man and set out on his journey. His steps were slow, his mind clouded with thoughts of his own arrogance and the lives he had taken for his selfish desires. He traveled for days, crossing mountains, rivers, and valleys, his once proud head bowed in shame. Finally, he reached the enchanted forest. It was a place unlike any other, filled with airy, peaceful silence. The trees whispered with the voices of the past, and the air was thick with the scent of forgotten memories. At the heart of the forest, he found a clearing, and there, standing before him, was the spirit of Nakato. She was as beautiful as the day he had first seen her. But now her eyes held a wisdom far beyond her years. She looked at him not with anger, but with a quiet sadness. Kneel, she softly said. The once great King Mjaro fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I was wrong, he whispered. I have caused so much pain, so much death. Forgive me, Nakato, for I have lost everything, and now I see that my arrogance has destroyed not just me, but the kingdom. Nakato's spirit stepped forward, her hand hovering just above his bald head. It is not me you need forgiveness from, she said. It is the people. But I release the curse if you swear to live humbly, to serve, and to never raise your hand in anger again. I swear, he vowed, his voice cracking. With that, Nakato's spirit vanished and the skies cleared. The curse lifted, the land healed, and rain fell once more. King Jaro, no longer a king, returned to his kingdom as a servant, living the rest of his days in humility and service to the people he had ruled with arrogance. And so, the legend of Nakato lived on, a reminder to them that no man, no matter how powerful, could ever truly own another's heart. In case you have liked this story, please subscribe and share it with your family and friends, and see you on the next one.